You come home after a long day. You drop your bag by the door, kick off your shoes, and before you even make it to the kitchen, there's something warm and furry launching itself at your legs. Your dog, tail wagging so hard the entire back half of their body is swinging, eyes wide, mouth open in what can only be described as a grin. They don't care that you're tired. They don't care that your boss was difficult today. They don't care about anything except the fact that you specifically, walked through that door. And for a moment, standing there in your hallway with a dog circling your feet, you might wonder, why? Why does this animal care about me so much? How did this even happen? How did wolves, apex predators, animals that once hunted in packs and tore apart prey with teeth designed to crush bone, become this? This creature that sleeps on your couch and gets excited when you open the refrigerator. The answer to that question is one of the strangest stories in the history of life on Earth, and it begins over 15,000 years ago on a cold, dark plain that no longer exists. At the end of the last ice age, much of the northern hemisphere was covered in a landscape we now call the Mammoth Steppe. It was vast, open, freezing, and full of life. Bison, reindeer, musk oxen, and, of course, mammoths. And wandering across this landscape were small groups of humans. Hunter-gatherers with no permanent homes, no farms, no supermarkets. They survived by following herds, setting up temporary camps, and killing what they could with stone-tipped spears and an enormous amount of patience. These humans were not at the top of the food chain. They were strong, yes, smart, absolutely. But they were also small, slow, and vulnerable, especially at night. And the night belonged to wolves. Wolves were everywhere in the Pleistocene. They hunted in coordinated packs, communicated with complex vocalizations, and could track prey for miles across frozen ground. They were everything humans weren't. Fast, powerful, naturally armed with fangs and claws, and capable of running down prey that humans could only dream of catching. By every measure of physical capability, a wolf was a more efficient killing machine than a human. But wolves had a weakness, and it was the same weakness humans had. They were social. Wolves live in family groups. They care for their young collectively. They mourn their dead. They have hierarchies, alliances, and relationships that can last a lifetime. A wolf without a pack is a wolf that dies. They need each other in exactly the same way humans need each other. Not just for hunting, but for warmth, for safety, for the simple comfort of not being alone in the dark. And that shared need is where everything began. Nobody knows exactly when the first wolf approached a human campfire. It probably wasn't a single dramatic moment. There was no scene where a brave hunter reaches out his hand and a wild wolf nuzzles it. That's a story we tell ourselves because it makes us feel special. The reality was much messier, much slower, and much less romantic. It likely started with the trash. Human camps produced waste, bones, scraps of meat, pieces of hide, organs that humans didn't want to eat. These scraps were left at the edge of camp, and wolves, being opportunistic scavengers, would creep close at night to eat what they could find. Most wolves would grab what they wanted and run, but some wolves were less fearful than others. And those less fearful wolves kept coming back. Over time, a strange arrangement developed. The wolves that were willing to tolerate human proximity got a reliable food source. The humans got something too. Not consciously, not as a plan, but as a gradual side effect. The wolves hanging around the camp kept other predators away. They alerted the humans to approaching danger with their growling and barking. They served as an early warning system, a living alarm that asked for nothing in return except leftovers. This wasn't domestication yet, this was coexistence. Two species sharing the same space, each getting something from the other, neither fully aware of what was happening. But evolution was aware. Evolution is always aware. Over generations, the wolves that stayed near human camps began to change. The ones that were too aggressive got killed or driven away. The ones that were too timid never approached in the first place. The ones that survived were the ones in the middle. Bold enough to eat from the camp's edge, calm enough not to attack the humans providing the food. Natural selection, operating on both sides of the campfire, was reshaping wolves into something new. And here's where it gets remarkable. As these wolves became more tolerant of humans, they also became more tolerant of each other. Wolves in the wild are territorial. They kill wolves from other packs, but the wolves living near human camps had to share space, not just with humans, but with other wolves doing the same thing. The aggressive territorial instinct that defined wild wolves was being bred out of them, replaced by something softer, something more flexible. This process is called self-domestication. Nobody chose it, nobody planned it. The wolves chose it for themselves, one scrap of meat at a time, one generation at a time. The physical changes followed the behavioral ones. As wolves became less aggressive, their bodies changed too. Their skulls shrank. Their teeth got smaller. Their ears flopped. Their coats developed colors and patterns that would never survive in the wild. White, brown, spotted, patchy. They started to look less like wolves and more like something else entirely. Something that didn't exist yet. Something that would eventually be called a dog. But here's the part that most people miss. The humans were changing too. The humans who lived near these early dogs, or proto-dogs if you prefer, had a survival advantage. They had a warning system. They had companions that could track prey. They had, for the first time in human history, another species on their side. And that advantage was enormous. A human with a dog could hunt more effectively, sleep more safely, and travel with more confidence than a human without one. The archaeological evidence supports this. Some of the earliest dog burials date back over 14,000 years. In one site in Germany, a human and a dog were buried together, the dog's body arranged carefully alongside its human companion. In another site in Siberia, a dog was buried with grave goods, items meant for the afterlife, as though the dog were a person. These weren't animals that were merely useful. These were animals that were loved. And that's the part that's hardest to explain. Utility, we understand. A dog that hunts is a tool. A dog that guards is a security system. But a dog that you bury with ceremony, a dog that you mourn, a dog that you place in the ground with the same care you'd give a family member, that's not utility. That's something else entirely. Some anthropologists believe the emotional bond between humans and dogs is older than agriculture, older than permanent settlements, older than the concept of property. It may be the oldest interspecies friendship on the planet. And it may have happened because both species shared something rare, not just intelligence, not just social structure, but the capacity to form attachments across boundaries. Wolves, it turns out, are one of the very few animals that can read human facial expressions. Dogs can follow a human's pointing gesture, something even chimpanzees struggle to do. When a human and a dog make eye contact, both release oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds mothers to their infants. This isn't learned behavior. This is biology. This is something that was bred into both species over thousands of years of sleeping around the same fire. So when you come home and your dog runs to the door, tail wagging, eyes bright, full of a joy that seems almost too pure for this world, you're not just experiencing a pet's excitement. You're experiencing the echo of a 15,000-year-old relationship. A relationship that began with scraps and fear and survival, and somehow, against all odds, became love. Your dog doesn't know any of this history. Your dog doesn't know what a wolf is, or what the Ice Age was, or what natural selection means. Your dog just knows that you came home. And that's enough. If you found this interesting, subscribe for more videos on the hidden science behind human history. And if you have a dog, tell me their name in the comments. I read every single one.